I have just been taking it day by day, and I'm really proud of myself because I don't know if the last video or what it was, but I know I told you guys about the ongoing situation with Mark, right? Um, and for years, you guys, literally 13 plus years. Well, not that long because it's stopped. His lies stopped working on me early or late 2019. I kind of just like, I don't know, I felt like I came to my senses. So like I birthed into my body and I was like taking control for the very first time and letting, instead of like being controlled, not in the sense of like he's controlling me because there'd be a cold day in hell before I would let somebody physically control me. But like, I, in my younger years, I was too scared. I was a people pleaser. Um, I was, there was a lot of reasons why I just kind of went with what people said. And a narcissist is all talk. Like, that's something I didn't know because I had actually never been in a narcissistic romantic relationship before. I grew up in a narcissistic family dynamic. Not saying any of my family are narcissists because I don't think they are. But the dynamic that we had with each other, I was always the scapegoat. I was always the bad guy. I was always too crazy. It was because I spoke out, though. It was because I didn't like my mother treating us unfairly. It was because of a lot of reasons. But the main reason is because, like, if you get vocal and if you bring issues up in a narcissistic dynamic, you will be blamed. You will be blamed for literally every single thing. They will try to blame their actions on you. They will try to blame the reasons they did something was because you're crazy or whatever. God damn that train. But like, yeah. But like recently, because Mark and I's relationship is more like, it's not a, it was at one point maybe could have resembled a romantic relationship, but it's not. And I don't feel when I'm with him that I don't feel like I'm in a relationship. I feel like I'm being forced to do things. And it's not that I was being forced because Mark is not, I don't think, at least, I'm not a therapist, but based on research that I've done, based on, things that are just obvious, I think he's a covert narcissist because he's not, it's so, narcissism is like so nuanced and hard to explain. Especially when you don't know it's happening to you because honestly, for the first 10 years I've known him since mid 2010 is when we first started talking. So it's been about 13 years, and I guess call it naivety. I guess call it, I don't know, but I believed a lot of things he told me for a lot of years, you guys, a lot of years. And then when those things would never show up, I would bring it up to him like, "Hey, remember you promised me this? Remember you said you were going to do this? Remember that?" And then he would flip out and call me crazy and tell me that I'm too much and tell me all these things that are not true. And after I had Briar, when I had Briar, it was like I was feeling so much guilt because of, the situation. And his words literally took me out, you guys. I'm not saying he's the cause, but like a culmination of things plus that took me out. I gained so much weight because I was so unhappy, and I was waiting for him to decide that I was good enough to be treated like a human and like a woman in a relationship. And you know what? Sadly, that day never came. Here we are 13 years later. And there's this cycle that I have with him where it's like, he promises, okay, so there's a big blow up, right? Big blow up. Him and I get into a fight because I bring up something that he promised me prior. And I try to hold him accountable. I try to hold that. I try to get that. I try to cash in on that promise. And then there's a blow up. We don't speak. A few days to a week goes by. Suddenly he starts putting money in my account. Suddenly he starts putting money. Before I had an account, he would just drive by and shove money in my mailbox. And then he would start sweet talking me. And he's a good talker. I'll give him that. No wonder he's like, top salesman where he works. But yeah, he would do that. He would sweet talk me. I would fall for it. He would make me more false promises. And then we would start hanging out again. And sorry, I keep looking at myself. It's just really hard. Let me flip this. We would start hanging out again. Sorry, that's really hard to look at. We would start hanging out again. And then, And then it would happen again. I would try to cash in on the promises, blow up, and then he would just ghost me, or I would ghost him. Okay, that was the cycle for the longest time. Always. It never ended. And me being, I'm not going to say I'm stupid because I'm not. What I am is not jaded. I'm not jaded. Life has not been able to jade me thus far. I still believe that people can be good. I still try to believe people at their word. I open my heart in the hopes that I'm going to be receiving love back. So it's not that I'm stupid. It's just that I'm not jaded yet. And I don't think I'll ever let myself get jaded. I mean, God knows, if I'm not jaded by now, I don't think it's going to happen. And I think that's got to be something with the Asperger's or the autism that is most likely part of my personality. No, I've not been diagnosed, but it's in my family and situational evidence and all this stuff. So I'm not I fell for his shit over and over and over and over again. It's because I believed him. I literally believed that he wanted to try. I believed everything he said when he was like, we're going to try, and I'm going to try harder, and this is going to happen, and you're going to be able to move in with me, and we're going to be happy, and we're going to spend, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the our families will merge, all this shit. And none of that shit ever happened. None of it. And so now, last night, a couple days ago, started again on the, he put money in my account because I had not been letting him come over my house. I had not been cooking for him. I've not been, because in the past, you guys, even if I wouldn't let him come around me, I would still cook meals for him. I don't know, I just felt guilty for some fucking reason. And you know what that fucking reason was? It was him knowing that I've got a good heart and hooking me with words and hooking me and making me feel like I need to put up with his shit because he gives me money. And last night he tried it again. See, over the last weekend, he said some really, because when he gets mad, he loses control. He tells everyone that I'm the emotional one, but that's not true. Yes, at one point in time, I was totally emotional, and I would allow him to trigger me over and over and over again. And I would allow him, because nobody does anything without your allowance, I would allow him to hurt me over and over and over again. And I just could not understand why it was happening. Why didn't he respect me? Why didn't he love me? Why didn't he want to be in a relationship with me? Why would he say all these things and then mean another thing? It's like I could not grasp it. I couldn't understand. Like, it would send me into a fit of fucking rage. Pure, unadulterated rage I would feel when he would do this to me over and over and over and over again. Once I figured out, though, once I figured all this out, once I figured out the pattern, once I noticed the pattern, I could never unsee it. And so I began to watch for steps in the pattern. I would be like, okay, so this is happening. What happened last time this happened? What happened after that? And what happened after that? I got to a point where like my brain was like, I see the pattern, and I won't allow you to get triggered anymore. It was like a miracle, you guys. I used to get so triggered, okay? And when you triggered a lot, that's like a big word, and people hear it all the time, but they don't realize the physical effects of being triggered. The physical effects for me when I get triggered, when somebody says something that touches a nerve, my heart starts to immediately race. Immediately, my heart starts racing. Which is, the adrenaline coursing through my veins, I guess. And then once I noticed that pattern, you guys, it was like a miracle. He is like, I no longer positioned him in a place in my life to trigger me. I no longer shared intimate things about myself. I no longer shared information about my family or my, any friends or anything I had going on. You know why? Because a narcissist does not ask you about yourself to get to know you. They don't. They ask you about yourself so they know how to manipulate you. So they know where your soft spots are. So they know where your weaknesses are. And so they stash that information. It's like so evil. That's the only word I can think of. Non-human. It's so non-human. To do that to fellow humans. To ask them about what hurt them only so you could use that same behavior in the future to hurt them and get them triggered and make them look crazy because they're upset. And last night he tried it again. He said, what are you doing? He beats around the bush a lot. He's never like straightforward with what he wants. He'll like, if he wants something done, he'll be like, oh, he'll just kind of mention it. but he'll never outright ask. You know, example for him specifically is if he wants his head scratched, he'll just state out loud, "My head itches," and hope that you come and scratch it, and hope that you read between the lines and come scratch his head. And so I started to act stupid. Okay, because he would call me stupid and green and all these names all the time. And I would always try to defend myself. But then it's like a narcissist kryptonite is when you own all your flaws and mistakes and everything, is when you own it and be like, yep, I'm stupid. I am stupid. And then you start playing and acting stupid. But yeah, I'm proud of myself and I want to document it. That it's been about a month now, you guys, that I've not allowed him in my house to hang out with me. Because, you know, every time, like, oh, there's just so much. And I put this video out here because I want people who are dealing with narcissistic people or that are in narcissistic dynamics to know where their power is, okay? Your power is literally in so many things. But the number one is like seeing the narcissist for who they are and what they're doing and not allowing that pattern to continue. Anyways, guys, let me see how far this is. Oh yeah, I love you all.